What's up guys, Chief here, and this is the BTS for drop number 2. So, I said in drop number 1 that I'd get the BTS for drop number 2 up pretty soon, so here it is, and yeah, this is drop number 2 right here. Only 7 audio tracks, so it's very few. The attack snare wasn't even used at all, so it would really be 6 audio tracks, but you know, I was still kind of counting that because that was an experiment that just didn't happen. So, yeah, first I'll go right into the drums up here, first of all. So, the kick sound is like this. So, that's a basic kick, like almost all my normal choice is the basic kick. And then I put on some reverb on track number 1 here. But before I show you that, right here, you know, I turn up the volume about 50% there, and I think I've showed you that before. I do that so it kind of sticks out more over the bass, because the bass can get pretty loud sometimes and you need to be able to hear those drums sometimes over that bass. So I turned that all the way up, and that's all I did in this little audio sampler right here. And then in the mixer, it's on track 1. I didn't even add a color because it's just a weekly drop. I wasn't planning on showcasing this. So it just has that little bit of reverb there, and then you can see its wave here. It reaches pretty loud, almost to the max, but not quite. And that is because the reverb isn't, the dry isn't up all the way. Like if the dry was up all the way, see, it reaches all the way up when it's about like that 80-90% there. It doesn't. So why normally sometimes I turn the dry up on the kick because it needs to hit harder, but since this already was a basic kick and the bass here wasn't too distracting, it was fine like that. So then I left it like that. So that's a kick, and then I didn't use the clap at all, so I won't show that. I used the hi-hat. So that's a hi-hat sample, no extra volume changes, so nothing changed in here. This is all default. And the hi-hat samples on track 3. Oh, there's no effects on that, it's just volume. So it's a very basic hat. So yeah, so that's it for the hi-hat. Oh yeah, and a snare. You can see it's a pretty long wave there. So let's hear that. It's the drop number 2 snare, and volume is about the same as the kick. Looks like a 51%er there. So yeah, so that's the snare. And it's probably got some reverb. Yep, some reverb. There it goes. Looks like about like 60% or so right there. So yeah, and the dry stays just about normal. So it's not like super full, because again that would make it really loud, and especially with about the 50% reverb, then that dry and it would have stuck out way too much, and it would have messed up with everything and all the whole compression of the whole song. So now I've showed you the actual drum sounds. I'll go play through this drum loop here. So that's that drum loop, then halfway between it goes drums number 4, and I'll show you what this is like. So yeah, so I'll show you the original drums in the step sequencer here. That's the whole track, just this. So I went to with 16th notes here, and then this is not really like a dubstep beat, it's more of like a drum and bass beat, because this drop is more drum and bass, and that's what I was going for. So you know, I used the drum and bass beat to you know, for that. So again, 16th notes on the hi-hats. I did this little velocity volume thing again. I showed you that before, so you know what that is. If you didn't see the video, that's in the BTS of Distorted, so you can go check that out on my channel. And yeah, that's it for the drums, and I'll show you this crash sample really quick. So this is the crash. And yeah, no volume changes, the wave is just like this. And it's on track 5, and no effects, just a little bit of volume to get it just to get out a little bit more. And then there's a reversed crash. That's exactly the same as the other grass, just reversed. So now I'll get into the bass of the sexual track, which is only one solid bass throughout the whole thing. It's just kind of changing, modulating with, there's two automations going on it. So I'll show you what these automations are. Technically, it'll only be one automation, but, you know, I'll show you what I mean. So first I'll go into the sound here. So this track. So, see, so I'll play it. Oh yeah, I gotta go the octave all the way down. So it's starting in E. Here. So it'll go like this. And that is not a super clean bass. Like normally, you know, I like to get them really clean. This one is kind of just all random. Like you can tell from where the modifier X goes from here to here, it kind of changes in phase a little bit. So I'll show you again. So, you know, normally you'd want that to be super clean. I didn't. You can tell I was experimenting with the filters. Are they Yeah, they're filters. Yeah, I don't know. I was experimenting with those, and they were enabled, but I disabled them by, you know, clicking them off. And this is what they were like with it. Now, in this form, that actually sounds better, but if that were to get to the actual song, it got a little too much unison, and it sounded really bad. So, with the sound sounding not perfect in here, it sounded better in the song. So, I used it like that, because there was some other automations going on. So, that's this main. So, I'll get into the automations later. So, operator 1, you know, 2 for the pitch frequency, and then the triangle wave, and operator 1 is not enabled at all. And then operator 2, triangle wave, 2 frequency, and it's turned to 100% in the matrix. Operator 3, triangle wave, and 32 for the pitch ratio, and that's triggered, looks like maybe like 12% or something there. Like, that's just a guess, you know, like, I'm just making assumptions when I say percent on all of these. It's not like exactly, like, I'm not like that good at discerning it. And then on operator 4, it's the triangle wave, and 32 for the pitch ratio. Looks like about like a 10% there for how it's turned on. And then operator 5 is the rectangle wave, 64, and that's like 4% engaged. And then operator 6 is 64 pitch ratio, and the rectangle wave, and that's about maybe like 6% engaged. So those are operators. I didn't do, looks like I was looking in the remodulation down here, but I didn't do any of that because it got really weird. Like I'll show you here when these were enabled. And like it kind of fills it up with unison, and for this bass I didn't want that. So that's all I did in Citrus. So it was on track 6 in the mixer, and there was some chorus on here. This is just default chorus. This is like right when you pull out the plugin, it's like this. And so I'll take all these off and then show you the sound and then build them back with it up. So this is the bass without any effects. That sounds kind of bad. So you know, a chorus, well, the default chorus that I just showed you, it sounds like this. And that's almost how it normally sounds in the track, but you know, it's still missing a little bit. So I had this Vocodex here. Let me grab the top. And you can see I messed with some stuff down here. So I turned the wet all the way up, the SG all the way up, and the real all the way up, or the rel, as well as the band values all the way up. So the reason I put those all the way up is to really fill it up, because bands, wetness, SG, and rel, what those do is they just fill it up. That's basically what they do. That's why I use Vocodex a lot, because it fills up the sound. And I turned it on to the male for vocal type, so with female it'd sound like this. Oh yeah, it's not engaged. So I'll engage Vocodex now. With a male and then with a female. So, you know, it's a little different. I wanted it to be a little lower tone, so I did the male. And it's up to 2 people for harmonizing. And then this is the band gain multiplier. So this is how it discerns with this, which is the band values. So basically, this is basically like a clip that is modifying this, if you can understand that. So basically, I think another good way of showing you is, you know how these down here are what is modifying the cutoff, which is this. That's what these are doing. They're doing this. So this, Vocodex, is doing the same thing, but to this. So basically, it's making like a different kind of style of the harmonic, of the bands, kind of like how harmonics do. That might be really confusing to you, but it just kind of changes how the bands are formed, kind of. So yeah, that's all I messed with in there. And then I have an EQ where I actually dropped out some lows. Like that, that's kind of weird. So yeah, it's engaged. So I dropped out some lows because with Vocodex it got really bassy, really filled up. Well then, why didn't I just like drop these down? Well, these give it a certain tone, and I didn't want to lose that tone, but I still wanted to degrade the bass because there was too much sub in it. So I took out some lows. So without those lows, it would be pretty insane. It would sound like this. So I'll show you right here. Now without the lows, it's like this. Less of that sub and more of the growl. So that's how the sound was made. Now I'll play you the clip here, which is like this. So, here it's really basic, just quarters, and then it goes playing the same notes but in 16ths with a little bit of cutout. Well, right here it goes into triplets though. So here this would be like a normal 16th would be like that, but I just took one out, and it kind of gives it some cool sounding pretty cool. Here it's doing the same thing. Here it's a solid note, but right here this is what's called the triplet. Basically that's like the drum term. I don't know if there's like a piano term, but like I'm a drummer, so I'm using the drum term. So where it's off time, you see how there's 4 here, but the second one's in between the two. So basically it's switching from 4 on time to a 3 on time, and it makes it sound pretty cool. So I'll play through it again. So that's what's playing right there, and then now I will play it with the normal automation right here, which is this is what is automating this, which is the filter cutoff. So I'll play that. That doesn't sound anything. Well, it sounds close to what it does like in the drop, but then there's this guy. So I'll play this, and then I'll show you what it does after I play it. So what this is automating, this is going to be a little hard to explain. This is automating the height of the cutoff. So that might be a little confusing, so how can I explain this? So basically, I'll get rid of this for now, and I'll show you in the plugin what's happening when this is being automated. So you can see how it's moving with the cutoff. So let's just keep going from 0 to 100, 0 to 100. And then what this does is, now I'll play it, and what this is doing is this is modifying the height. So this is going up and this is going down. So basically, in theory, it'd be staying the same. But since they both have a little curve onto it, it makes it go up and down pretty fast. So the reason I didn't do all of that in just this one clip is because it's easier to edit both of them when there's 2 clips. So then I'll show you what that's like now in here. So you can see it's only going halfway up, and that is what fixed the problem of the bass being weirdly tuned. So I could have fixed that, but when it's kind of half engaged, it kind of has a cool sounding to it, especially when it's going into the Vocodex with this little band game multiplier thing. So yeah, so I'll play this again, and you can look at this. So there is that bass, and I'm almost done with the BTS here. Just got the sub to go over. Where's the sub? Okay, there it is. So it's default. Oh yeah, the octave's all the way down from where I'm showing you the bass. So that's the sub, and it's basically the same sub I showed you before. Pitch all the way down, and 0.1 for frequency, nothing engaged in remodulation or in the original matrix. No mixer track, I didn't need one, and you know, it's just some sub, just playing a pattern. So you can tell that I did go to a minor key here, F minor, because I already used F and I went up to G. Like, I could have done something else. Like, it doesn't really matter with the sub because it's really hard to hear that. But I kind of wanted to get it a little bit of like a detune-ish kind of feel because you know, like drum and bass, I kind of wanted to get it, you know, like a little kind of off in a way, if that makes sense. So yeah, so that's this drop, this little first section. In this second one, just this clip changes, so I'll just go through the rest. Because the sub stays the same the whole song, the drums, they changed a little there. So yeah, I do have a little bit more to go over than I thought of. So yeah, I'll play this for you. It's the same exact pattern, just different automation on the filter cutoff. So you know, remember at the beginning when I was showing you how I made that bass, and when this was at full, it sounded weird? So it does go up to full for a little bit, and then it goes down because it's automating the height right here. So that's what gets it that weird little high sound there. That sounds pretty cool, so you can listen to it again. Like, it almost sounds like a different completely sound all the way. So that's pretty cool, so I added that in. I thought it was pretty cool for the second little section of the drop. And it repeats that a couple times, and then drop B here, the bass gets kind of insane, so I'll play this. So what this is doing is, you know, this is making a wobble, and then it goes to 0 and back up. So I'll just play this. And that sounds basically the same because this is almost following it exactly. And if the second one follows it exactly, it's basically the same. And then these are cutting off so it doesn't stay 100% for too long, so it doesn't overpower too much and fill everything up. So yeah, then it repeats this. Oh, I think it's a little different here. Yeah. So there's that part, and it repeats for these two little bars here. So now I'll show you these drums here. They're really basic. It's just does that, then it goes to this, and then it does the first one again, and then it goes to the third one right here. So those are those drums, and then it goes to the fourth one on the way out, and this is the last one I have to show you. So there's that. And then it goes to this final little bit here, and the sub comes back again. Then the drums, yeah, it looks like the drums changed a little bit. But I'll show you those last and get into this bass. So this is the bass like this. So just play through the bass, and I'll show you about the automation. So as you can tell, this is the same clip that was right here for the second part of the first drop. I used that again, and these little height modulators are the same. Just right here, you know, I got it really small to kind of get it some kind of like some glitch to kind of mess it up a little bit, so it's not like perfect. So, and I think it's pretty cool. And also these notes, let me see, they're down here. They change. Go to a D sharp, D minor. Yeah. So again, why I did a minor is so you know it sounds a little more interesting, especially with that chopped up feel right there. And I think it kind of flows pretty well and sounds pretty good. And then it goes to drums 5 for the whole way, and this is drums 5. So I did that to kind of double time it, and then the drop's over, and then it got back into the sub. So that was pretty far in depth of drop number 2. So drop a comment below what you thought of it. And if you have not subscribed to my main channel, you can go do that. There's a link in the description below. And this weekend, I got a single coming out called Waves on my main channel. So, along with the drop. So there'll be a single and a weekly drop on my main channel this Saturday. So, that's pretty cool. So, yeah. Bye.